The transfer portal, where dreams come to go and die. No, I'm just playing. But on a serious note, I think there's some positives and negatives about it. That's pretty much everything in life. You're gonna get the good with the bad and the bad with the good. For example, having a fast car, yes, it can be good and helpful at times. On other times and occasions, it can be bad and hurtful. Look what happened with star running back for Michigan State, Kenneth Walker. He entered the transfer portal last year and now it worked out perfectly. He's got the best fit ever. That's just one scenario where it worked out. We can also point to Jameson Williams, who barely played at Ohio State and now he's a stud at Alabama. All in all, I would say I'm in favor of the transfer portal and I do see it as more as a positive. If these coaches can up and leave whenever they want to, the players should be able to do the same thing. It's their career. But however, with all that being said, we do see a lot of scenarios of players leaving too early and it bites them in the butt. A lot of times these 4 and 5-star recruits, they leave when there's one minor inconvenience, like Blake Barnett did at Alabama and Tate Martell at Ohio State. There's many more players, but those two come to my mind. And in today's video, I got a good one for y'all. We're going to look at the best players who are currently in the transfer portal and where they should go. I'm really excited to get into this one because it's so interesting and the options are endless. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, real quick, if you're not subbed, I know I've been asking, but a lot of you aren't subscribed, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see a double upload today, F it, 700 likes before 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and we'll double upload. I got another very, and I mean very interesting topic to get into tonight. If you guys want to see that video, 700 likes, let's do it. Subscribe if you're new. Without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to talk about a lot of quarterbacks, but I want to start on the defensive side of the ball with Elirix, who was a former 5-star recruit. There's many people out there who feel like he's the #1 transfer portal prospect in the entire country. He wasn't just a stud in high school, he was a stud at LSU, and he's one of the best corners in the country. Eli made it clear in an interview he wants to compete for a championship, and his 4 schools he's narrowed down to is Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and USC. He even stated this about Georgia: "I love their style of play and how they play defense. Their defensive line is so good that the corners don't get a lot of action, but I think I'd fit in really well there. I've talked with the coaches and the DB coach specifically about how they would use me in my role in the defense. I haven't talked to Kirby yet, but I know that's something I can do after the SEC championship game. He's a great coach and defensive minded." Elirix is one of those rare talents and rare transfers where he's going to make an impact no matter where he goes right away. Everyone feels like Georgia has the lead in it, and rightfully so. They're not too far from LSU and they're a great defensive school. Everyone's chalking it up and saying Georgia's going to land him. I get it. I just wouldn't count out USC and Bama. Nobody's talking about him going to USC. I'm going to offer you this. He knows, and the coaching staff knows, if he goes there, he's going to start right away no matter what. If he goes to Alabama or LSU, yeah, more than likely he would start, but he's going to have to fight for his position. Whereas at USC, he's not going to have to do that. Where would he fit in best? And before you say Georgia, think about Alabama. A lot of people feel like they're DBU. They've had the most defensive backs get drafted since 2010. Look at all the legendary defensive backs they've had. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Marlon Humphrey, Eddie Jackson. I could go on and on. There's so many different ones. Oh yeah, how can I forget about Trayvon Diggs, who's leading the NFL in interceptions, which is ironic. I never felt like he was that great at Alabama when he was there. And after seeing what Alabama did to Georgia in that championship game, you gotta think he's considering them a lot. It would be hard for me to imagine he'd go all the way from LSU to USC, but I wouldn't be shocked, and neither should you. Wherever he decides to go, they're getting a rare talent. I would narrow it down to Georgia and Alabama. We got another player I want to get into before we talk about all the quarterbacks, and he goes by the name of Jamal Gibbs. I'm going to be transparent with all of you. I didn't know much about this dude before a week ago, and I started doing my research and watching some film. After breaking his game down, watching all the film, the only reason nobody's talking about him is because he's playing for a terrible Georgia Tech team, and that's probably why he's leaving. I'm not sure what his 40-yard dash is, but when I turn on the tape, he looks way faster than everybody else. He's not a typical speedy back, he also has some power to him. For Georgia Tech, who finished 3-9, he was one of the only bright sides, he had 746 rushing yards with 465 receiving yards and 589 kick return yards for almost 2,000 all-purpose yards. He's really a do-it-all hybrid for any team you put him on. Coming out of high school, he was only listed as a 4-star recruit. I'm going to tell you now, he plays like a 5-star. Do you understand how good you have to be when you're playing for a bad team and still putting up those numbers? The defenses you're playing are only scheming for you. In the ACC, he was the highest graded running back on the PFF scale. I've seen a lot of rumors saying that Tennessee is a possible location because he could start right away. Another one I've seen, and I've seen more of this, is him going to Alabama because they need a starting running back next year. Alabama's depth chart at the running back is very low due to injuries, and Trey Sanders isn't established as the second string right now either. I'm telling you right now, Alabama's got some talented backs, but Jamal Gibbs, he comes in right away, he starts next year. You also got to remember that's why he's leaving Georgia Tech. He wants to be part of a winning team. I would be beyond shocked if he decided to go anywhere else in Alabama. Not only that, but I do think it's the greatest fit. Could you imagine Bryce Young with a great and fast running back? Oh my goodness, he doesn't need any more help. But if he gets Gibbs, he'll get some more help. Okay, I realize that kind of sounded stupid, but you get what I'm trying to say. Alabama's running game this year has been the worst I've seen in 12 to 15 years. It's no disrespect to Brian Robinson, who's a senior, and he's a good back, but he's no Jamal Gibbs. I would predict him to go there. It'd also be the smartest move. Even if he doesn't start, he could get to the NFL by being a backup. Nick Saban has those kind of connections. It doesn't matter how many snaps you play at Bama. If you're good, the NFL is going to find you. Moving along with this video, we can now get into everybody's favorite part, and I'm talking about the quarterbacks. I'm not going to talk about Spencer Rattler, and I'm not going to talk about Quinn Ewers because they're going to be in the videos I make tonight if we do the double upload in the next day. So if you were expecting me to talk about them, I apologize. Well, not really, because I'm going to dedicate a whole video talking about them very soon. There's a lot going on with those two young men, and they deserve their own topic and video, so that's why I'm not talking about them. But what I am going to talk about is some other quarterbacks nobody's giving any love to. One of those guys being who has recently entered the transfer portal, Gabriel. Gabriel has been the quarterback for UCF over the past couple of seasons, and he's really dominated. Unfortunately, this year, he was off to a great start, but he had a terrible injury. In his career, he's already thrown over 8,000 yards, has 70 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. If you're going off of the numbers and you watch him play, you're getting an established quarterback who's mature. I would go as far as to saying he's a safe bet and you could count on him. The only knock I have on his game is he's not playing the best of the best competition, and that leads me to my next point perfectly. There has been some speculations and rumors he could be transferring to Ole Miss to replace Matt Corral. That is a big, and let me repeat, a big jump from going to a terrible conference to one of the best ones in the country. The only other rumor I've seen about him, and it would make a lot of sense, is Nebraska, because their quarterback Adrian Martinez has also entered the transfer portal, and Gabriel just followed Scott Frost on Twitter, which is really interesting. You could call it a coincidence, but you're not going to follow a random coach out of nowhere, so they definitely been talking. If I had a pick for him where it would be a better fit, I would say Nebraska because the expectations are low. It doesn't matter if you lose 6 or 7 games, the fans are used to it. At Ole Miss, they're coming off of their best season of all time. You don't want to go there and disappoint. I forgot to mention one of the key reasons he was considering Ole Miss was because of their offensive coordinator, but he just left to go to Oklahoma. Before I go any farther, I gotta say, there's been so much stuff going on this year in college football with the players and off the field, all the drama. You got offensive coordinators leaving left and right, coaches leaving left and right. Has it always been this way, or have I not paid attention to it? Anyways, let me get back on topic. The next quarterback we're going to talk about is somebody we spent some time talking about yesterday, Max Johnson at LSU. In 2021, Max Johnson threw for over 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, and had 6 interceptions. When you look at his stats, you're like, okay, to do that in the SEC West, he must be really good. The numbers are deceiving. How do I say this nicely? He's not the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen. Some of the throws he makes, it leaves you shaking your head thinking, how in the heck did this guy get a Division I offer? He reminds me of Bo Nix. He'll do something great and then do something terrible. The most recent reports is that he's leaning going to Florida State, which I kind of think is the best fit possible for him. You got another program like Nebraska who doesn't expect that much, and it's going to be less pressure. I think Florida State fans would love to have him, and he'd be the right man for the job. This one's kind of random. I kind of thought up in my head. I could see him working out and landing at South Carolina. South Carolina doesn't have an established quarterback room. He could go in there and change the program. I'm not saying he's going to lead them to the national championship, but he could lead them to a 9 or 10 win season. Another player nobody's talking about, he's kind of getting overshadowed by Quinn Ewers, is another quarterback who's leaving Ohio State, going by the name of Jack Miller. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about him. The only thing I've seen is maybe possibly he could go to Ole Miss. I knew a little about him going into Ohio State. The only thing I'm going to say, it's kind of risky for Lane Kiffin to go after him because he hasn't proven himself in college. Who am I kidding here? Lane Kiffin, he's all about taking risks. I could see him going after this kid. I'm going to end this video off with 2 more players, one who I think has the potential to be good and another one who's not so hot, but we're still going to talk about him. The first one being Taysom Pumachan. If I said his last name wrong, I apologize for that. I spent about 15-20 minutes looking up to say his name. There's not too many interviews on him because he hasn't played that much. It doesn't matter. We're going to call him Taysom. He was a quarterback for Clemson who came in this year in relief of DJ Uiagalelei, but it didn't do all that hot. On the real though, what's up with these Clemson quarterbacks having these hard names to pronounce? These are some of the hardest names I've ever seen. As bad as DJ looked throughout the season, and he looked rough at times, Taysom, when he went in there, he didn't do that much better. There's some good news for him. He's only a sophomore, he's entered the transfer portal, and he has the potential to be good at the right program. I think it's smart for him to enter the transfer portal. Based off of what I saw from him, he wasn't going to succeed at Clemson. He doesn't have a great arm. He has a decent arm that if he continues to work on, it could be good or potentially great. I watched him in the spring game, and when he played for Clemson, he looks really nervous and too twitchy. You know how when you see a quarterback play like Bryce Young, you can tell if they're smooth and calm? He doesn't look calm at all. He looked way too nervous for Clemson. I could see him going to another ACC school or somewhere else. It's kind of weird because nobody knows where he's going to go. You would think more people would talk about a quarterback for Clemson. The only one I've seen is UConn. Last time I checked, UConn is not a great football program. I don't know why he'd want to go there. Let me know if you know anything about this man. The last and final player I'm going to talk about is Adrian Martinez, who I feel like has been playing college football for the past 6 seasons. You know I give you the harsh truth and I keep it honest. When he was playing for Nebraska, I thought he was below average. This man is not that good of a quarterback, and I don't know where he thinks he's going to transfer and see success. He has potential, he has the arm, and he has the athletic ability, but he makes so many terrible and costly mistakes. I have a better way to put it. Y'all like to hate on Spencer Rattler's decision making. This guy would drive you insane. I don't know why, but I did watch Nebraska play 4 to 5 games this year, and the decisions and risk he takes makes no sense. I'm going to leave it at that. Whichever team gets him, I feel bad for you because it's going to be rough if he's your starter. I know we talked about a lot of quarterbacks, but that's mainly all these stars that entered the transfer portal. I'm very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. It was a different type of video. I had to do a lot of research, so if you could drop a like, subscribe, do all that, I really appreciate it. Also, 700 likes and 700 before 8 p.m. Something like that. I can't remember. Double upload. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.